video taken on Monday, October 18th, 2010, of the AMC Queensway project at bent J3, pile number 1, where AMC was attempting to impact drive pile number 1 as instrumented to detect the actual forces being applied to the pile as it is being pounded into the ground. As this video moves forward, you will see I will explain what is occurring at various points in time and show the end result after the county inexplicitly stopped us from continuing driving the pile when we were 5 inches above specified tip elevation, with no explanation as to why they were stopping us, other than to say that they would tell us later in an email.
Get all these county guys on the payroll here. We got Larry Bunker, Hung Young, Cyrus Revere, and another inspector. Don't know his name.
Okay, here you can see Dr. Rashidi from Earthspectives start to apply the strain gauges and accelerometers devices that will measure with specificity the loads that are applied to the pile at every blow of the hammer. These instruments detect these forces again at every blow and continue reading as the pile descends into the ground to tip elevation.
The county's measuring the pile hammer, trying to make the case that we got the wrong hammer, but in fact all we're interested in is energy, and we're going to measure the energy with these instruments. So that's that scoop.
As we start driving, you'll notice when the pile is on automatic mode, the upstroke comes up so quickly that it hits the top of the hammer, thereby taking the hammer, lifting the hammer up off of the pile. So we asked the operator to put it in manual mode, where he could stop the upward stroke from hitting the top of the hammer, thereby keeping the head of the hammer in contact at all times with the pile. Now, Cyrus was originally concerned that this would not deliver the required energy, but that is besides the point, because we're measuring the energy with respect to the strain gauges and the accelerometers that have been attached to the pile. We are recording every stroke the force that hits that pile. The beauty of this instrumentation is that it records directly the loads being applied to the pile with every stroke, eliminating the need for empirical, less accurate formulas like the ENR energy formula. Now in this close-up you can see the white chalk mark scribed on the pile, the instrumentation, accelerometer, and the strain gauge on one side of the pipe. There's another accelerometer and strain gauge on 180 degrees on the opposite side of the pipe. And that white line designates the location of tip elevation. Once that white line is driven to the ground there, then we would be at the specified tip elevation. And what transpires next is beyond comprehension.
Some confusion here. They want us to stop driving here so that I guess the pile would set up and wait a couple of days, but we're going to drive it to tip. Our values are good, and they haven't given us a written directive not to drive it, so we're going to drive it. Why are we stopping? Why are we stopping?
So we get look at your results first.
You're directing us to stop?
Yeah.
Okay, we're being verbally directed to stop pile operations. We're about 5 inches from tip, 5 inches from tip elevation, being directed to stop.
Don't know.
You don't know.
We check the result first.
But what does that have to do with us driving to tip elevation? We have a requirement to drive to tip elevation. Why can't we drive to tip elevation right now?
We look at the test results first, then the design.
Why can't we drive to tip elevation? Huh?
Are you recording me?
Yes.
Which channel are you from?
Huh?
Which channel are you from? What station?
We have a requirement to drive to tip elevation. Why can't we drive to tip elevation? It's independent of what load we have.
I'm not the technical expert on this. I'm not going to make a comment.
Okay, can I get an answer? Why we are being directed to stop driving right now?
We'll get your response first, then we'll decide.
Okay, I've asked several questions regarding why we're getting stopped from reaching our specified contract tip elevation, and nobody will answer my questions unless they get these test results first. We're at 500 kips. Verbally, we're at 500 kips. We're supposed to be at 220.
Mr. Cornelius,
Yes.
we said we give you no writing. Then we give you right, no more recording.
Okay. No, I'm going to record, sir. This is a free country. Yes, I
said
am.
I give him writing.
Okay.
And you said,
My
wait,
question is, we're at 500 kips. We're 5 inches above tip, and we cannot continue.
We've already given our answer.
Okay, but you know where we're at, right? You've got the results right here.
I haven't reviewed the results.
Okay, come here, look at them.
I don't know how to interpret the results.
I'll get the PhD
I'm not
over
gonna
here.
get into an argument with you right now, with you sticking the camera in my face all the time.
Well, I have
know
to.
You're trying to instigate something.
I'm not. I'm trying to move the job forward. We're trying to move the job forward. We're 5 inches.
Love the job to move
5
forward.
inches from tip elevation.
But your tactics right now are not moving the job forward.
Yes, they will.
Antagonistic, and I'm not going to argue.
We're trying to move the job, Larry.
If you want to keep arguing, I'm not going to do that.
I'm just want to get the record straight.
I don't want you sticking the camera in my face trying to get me to argue with you.
We're at over 500 kips, 5 inches above tip, and they won't let us continue to drive.
Now, not only did they stop us from continuing to drive, but they refused to even talk to the PhD, to the Caltrans certified independent inspector, over what these readings meant and as to what his opinion was as it relates to the capacities of the pile in order to keep the job moving. Instead, they clammed up, went back to their offices to try to figure out what they could do next to stop the job. This is the type of obfuscation and hindrances that have been put forth to this contract over the last 6, 7, 8 months of this project.
Okay, we asked the inspectors if we could continue to vibrating the pile. They said yes, but we have to stop 10 feet above the tip until they get the results of this impact test, which I told them we would have in qualitative results here in the next 45 minutes to an hour. Over.
Now, what's interesting here is that 2 weeks ago, the county shut AMC down from advancing these piles into the ground. As you can see from these videos, these piles are 16 piles. There's 2 bents with about 16 piles sticking up like a forest of trees, and AMC has been wanting to vibrate those piles into the ground to 50, 60 feet of depth, to above, to 8 or 10 feet above tip elevation, just like the county said we could do today, and then impact the hammers to their design tip elevation. And so for the last 2 weeks, we've been shut down from advancing these piles to the deeper depths and thereby being delayed again.